Every year since 1989, the Library of Congress has selected 25 films to add to the National Film Registry. The criteria? The films must be culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant.
Each week on You're Missing Out, we take a look at one of these films to try and get to the heart of why they were selected and why they still matter.
Our guest today is nobody.
No one.
Because I don't have to say that anymore for a little while. We're done. We're done with the season.
I'm free. I'm free. I've got a furlough.
Tom,
man.
You do live streams every month. You're stuck with it.
I haven't done one in 2 months, bro.
I know, but you're supposed to have.
I know, but life happens.
And you're doing Fantastic Fest coverage, so that's but hey, let's
do that every year though, so that's just whatever.
Let's be fair here, all right? There were a couple of episodes, let's just call this out. I know we're exhausted, but let's be honest. There were a couple episodes this season Kyle wasn't here for, right?
Good ones.
But I want to make sure while we're here, because Amanda's on camera, I want to make sure we give Amanda the perfect attendance award. Because as listeners know, Amanda's definitely been here for every single episode this season. Those were definitely not all recorded in one sitting. She was there live the whole time. Just read the registry statement and then bailed. That's how it worked. So thank you for just showing up every time, Amanda. We appreciate it.
Of course, I love a participation trophy.
We are done with the season, but more importantly, and this is something we haven't really had a chance to reflect on, this season, you guys just last week heard our 100th episode about the birth of a nation. Which is it was our 100th episode, but that's not really a movie you want to talk celebratory on. So we'll just do it now. We have covered 100 movies on this show. We have hit the 100. I mean, we've had more than 100 episodes when you count bonuses, finales, Oscar specials, but we really wanted to mark it. And I think that was a heck of an episode. And I want to say that because on last season's finale, when I acknowledged we were hitting 100 episodes, Tom decided to go, that's a big one. We should do something special for that. We should make sure that's good and not just some bullshit commentary or something. Which was a real nice way to throw a chunk of our episodes under the bus. Tom, did we hit that standard for you at least? Do you at least feel like we achieved that?
It'll be difficult to answer that question because I don't remember the recording. I'm going to say just take a shot in the dark and say, yeah, great episode. Really good.
So we are now here doing the finale of Season 4, 100 episodes in. Let me ask, before we even get into our finale, let's just take a moment to reflect on what that means to have done this show for long enough that we've covered 100 movies, all the memories we've had, all of that. Amanda, why don't you reflect on 100 movies? What does that mean to you?
That's more movies than I generally probably have watched in my entire lifetime, especially in adulthood. But no, it's great. I remember when you guys were getting the podcast up and running and you reached out to me to come on for Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. It feels like so long ago, like a different life, and incredibly proud to be a part of the team now, full time, and not just your Washington D.C. correspondent.
I love
the episode where I cursed the country.
Mm-hmm. I love, Amanda, that you answered that sincerely. I was just trying to fuck with you because you just joined the team this past season. I was trying to put you in the.
I did my best because I work in marketing and comms. Of course, I was going to take that.
Well, because it's like Paul Rudd with Friends. Do you know about when Paul Rudd was
yes.
that the final season when all the core cast was getting emotional, he would just come up behind them and go, "God, a lot of memories, huh, guys?" Every time.
Well, for all you know, I'm lurking around.
Could be. We don't know how secure these links are. We don't know.
You don't.
Kyle, 100 movies, and you were obviously planning this bad boy from the beginning, all that. Before we did this, you had never produced a podcast or nothing, and now 100 movies, well over 100 episodes of this show. How's it feel?
A little surreal. I still, like Amanda pointed out, it feels like another life when we were in lockdown, and you had messaged me saying that you had an idea for You're Missing Out and wanted to pitch it. And to be put in a situation or to have a role where I could have more of a backseat role was really exciting to me, admittedly. I mean, I felt really in over my head initially, but I knew after that first season that there really wasn't anything we couldn't do. So now, fast forward 100 episodes, I even told you, because of just my background and everything, I wanted to hit that Birth of a Nation episode because of what my mentors had kind of taught and instilled in me in terms of looking at film history. So the fact that we finally crossed that milestone, it's a little surreal. And of course, we've got a whole registry to do now. But there is another part of me that's like, well, now what? You know, what do we? What do I sort of put myself into these next 100 episodes? You know, what's the next milestone?
Oh, good. I'm glad you said we still have more, because it sounded like you were quitting for a second. Not gonna lie, for
Oh.
a second there, I thought, I was like, can you just wait till we're done recording? Like, don't put us on the spot on mic like that. That's like when you say no to a proposal at a baseball game on the jumbotron. It's like,
I wouldn't sour the mood of the entire episode, Mike. We've got at least another 90 minutes of this. I feel like I'd be an asshole if I did that.
well, that tees up Tom to, I'm gonna guess quit on Mike. I'm gonna guess quit on Mike. No, sincerely, Tom. Because we've had enough time since we recorded Castro Street. I think I am allowed to ask you to be sincere again.
Okay.
100 movies, well over 100 episodes. How are we feeling about that?
It's pretty cool. A lot of hard work. A lot harder than you would think doing something like this. It really isn't just sitting around talking with your friends. You got to put on your best face and try to be entertaining each episode. And I'll say, like, a rough estimate so far has been like half movies I've seen before and half that I haven't. Maybe it's slightly more, slightly less. I don't know. Whatever. But still seeing a lot of new movies, stuff I'd heard of and haven't gotten to, stuff I never heard of, which is always good to broaden the horizons and broaden your minds. Seeing old movies, from the past and with a new look. I'm older now, so movies I liked in the past, maybe I like them more. Maybe movies I didn't like in the past, maybe I like them now, or maybe I still don't like them, but I have a better understanding of why I don't like them. Bit bop boop. And for whatever it's worth, it's not like we're pulling fucking like blank check numbers here or anything, but I do think we are doing some good work and leaving something worthy in the ether that could maybe be picked up and people can find it. And I don't know, in this day and age where movies are, mainstream movies at least, are not in the greatest place. Uh, you know, for whatever you feel about either of these movies, the fact that Deadpool 3 and Alien Romulus are doing very well, when the entire crux of those movies are just remember berries, while forgetting basic core principles of filmmaking, like good cinematography, good screenwriting, good direction, endings, ideas. Um, yeah. I don't know. So it just doing all this stuff is a very good way for other people to find it, and just for us to remember that there's so much stuff out there that's not new. I mean, you could not go to the movie theaters for fucking ages and never run out of movies, man. I watched, I know it's like gonna sound like a joke coming from me, but like I watched some random ass Franco Nero Italian cop movie from the '70s today. Like, I don't need to go see fucking Twisters. I don't need to I don't even know what's fucking playing, man. I don't need to see 1992. like, um, it really, every year just really hammers it home that film and the history of film is not a straight line. It's it's a spiral. It's just, keeps going and going and going. Yeah, and looking forward to next year. I know this is a question at some point. I won't say what, but like just looking at what I haven't seen for next year. Excited to see a bunch of stuff that I haven't gotten to yet. Does not seem like, thankfully, we're going to have a Birth of a Nation or a Salt of the Earth type situation here where, for various different reasons, we go, boy, howdy, do I wish I could peel my skin off and never wake up again. But who knows? Maybe, I don't know. Let me see. Maybe, no, that's 6 minutes. I'm not going to say. Maybe Lassie Come Home is going to make me go, wow, they really have it out for, like, I don't know, the Dutch? I don't know. Like, wow, this is mean to the Dutch for some reason. What are they doing? I don't know. But, yeah, I'm glad we're about to take a break because it does take it out of you, but I never do want to stop doing this, just to give me more of an incentive to watch other stuff, which I think everybody just needs to do. I mean, we're in what's the festival going right now? Venice, as we're recording.
Yeah, Venice.
It's Venice. Seeing the typical like hyperbolic reviews from guys where you go like, all right, well, this is like the one kind of movie you like. So is it actually good, or are you hyped because you're in Venice, or like whatever? Seeing all that kind of thinking this week, we're in festival season. We're going to see that a lot. Then we're going to go into award season. So we're kind of rolling into that sort of, you're seeing everybody just bare their asses with their biases. That's a hard word.
I mean, you're going to be going down to Fantastic Fest, as we
I know.
Some people later. And that is, as you've talked to me about several times, that is certainly a place where that happens.
Oh no, it absolutely is. Maybe more so, than others, because that vibe really is just like a party more than the other ones. Where it's like you're drinking all day, you're eating all day, you're in the hot Austin sun when you're not in the middle of a movie, so your brain, your wet alcoholic brain is just frying like an egg in the heat.
I forget what one it was. It wasn't People's Joker. It was something you were just kind of like mixed on. But I just remember you talking to me. It wasn't something you recorded. It was you were just talking to me, and you were like, "I walked out of that thing," and somebody was like, "Oh, that was the best thing I've ever seen at this festival," and you were like, "They played Suspiria. They played The Night Comes for Us. What are you talking about, you drunk asshole?" I remember you being so.
There really is so many.
And you were just like, "The movie's fine. It's fine." You weren't even against the movie.
No, it is fun. Like, no, you do see it just firsthand. So I think, yeah, I don't know. I'm rambling. Good show. I don't know. Would recommend. Next.
Yeah, no, I mean, the other thing I would say to that, though, and I'm not going to be able to name everything, but like, Tom, you mentioned like it finding people, and I do think that's kind of what's been the most encouraging thing for me is the people who it does reach. We could certainly be talking to nobody, and yeah, that'd be fine. I don't mind doing it, but the whole idea was for us to create a show of like, hey, if you don't get why this movie matters, like, we're going to help you understand it. And like, from the very early listeners, folks like Jackson Boren, who we corresponded with, to, I don't know your real name, I know nothing about you, but I am actually Cools. We appreciate, you checking in all the time. I can't tell you what it means to us. I'll even sell him out. It even means something to Tom. He'll never admit it, but it does. To the people who check out our live streams, like that one guy Tom called an asshole. It means a lot to all of us.
Yeah, that was good.
The only person Tom has ever apologized to on air. One of the better moments.
Bit. That was a good bit, yeah.
Just your immediate panic of like, oh, I don't know who that is. That could be.
It wasn't panic. It was just like, oh, this person's gonna think I'm serious.
Yeah.
I need to break kayfabe for a bit.
But that's been really cool, to have the audience grow and to hear from people. Like that's really cool.
And I was gonna say too, can you imagine, or did you ever imagine having one person listen, let alone people from entire different countries, right? I mean, I did not imagine that
it's
Our listener
stupid.
base would be here in the UK. I didn't know that we would have people who would actively want to be guests on our show from the UK.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
it's really stupid and it doesn't make sense. And I don't know why. There's so many ways to waste your time. I mean, why are you like if you're driving into work listening to this? Like, why are you already starting your day off wrong? Um, I don't get it, man. I mean, thanks, but also like, you know, do some reflecting. I
I'll
don't
never
know.
forget when Mike messaged me to say that the episode we did on primary was trending in the Czech Republic, and to this day, I still tell people I'm very big in the Czech Republic.
I mean, it's very cool. Now, Kyle, did I ever imagine? I would say, like, I'm going to be real with you. I think under normal circumstances, I would have thought, yeah, some people will check it out just from SEO, just from whatever, just from some of the guests we had on. But admittedly, when we started the show, I wasn't sure that anybody would be listening because that was at the height of the pandemic. So none of us knew what the future held in any capacity. So no, I didn't, anticipate how anything was going to go.
facts.
But I suppose we've reflected. Now it's time to reflect on just the season that was. For those who have never listened to our finale episodes before, what we kind of do is we do a bit of like a mini Oscars type thing. So we have a couple of questions we'll ask up top, reflecting on what we saw, how we felt about things, and then we created categories: actor, actress, supporting actor, supporting actress, all this stuff. Original score, song, visual effects, all that happy fun stuff. We are going to give out our little awards for the films that happened this season. Now, Amanda, having not been able to watch all the films this season, is going to be our presenter, reading us the categories. So it's a flashback to our Oscar special, except hopefully this doesn't go 3 hours and Amanda starts getting deeply annoyed at Tom, which is the best part.
To be
Of our
clear,
Oscar
I
special.
was deeply annoyed at all three of you.
No, I know you were annoyed at all three of us, but the thing is, like, in the past, you've gotten annoyed at me. You may have even gotten annoyed at Kyle, but, like, you have a very large threshold for what you'll put up with from Tom. And it's so
That's
funny
true.
because, again,
love
watching
Tom.
that video, Tom's doing some bit about, like, the Spider-Man animators, like, falling apart mentally. And Tom's laughing and everything, and you look at him very sternly and go, "Are you done? Are you done?"
I
And
don't remember any of this.
there's a moment where you see Tom kind of be like, "Oh, I don't like pissing you off." That wasn't meant to upset you. That was meant
I
to.
don't.
Bad.
I genuinely don't remember any of that. Legitimately, none of that. I don't. I don't.
No, that
He's
was
like,
crazy.
remorse, not me.
I just have the other thing that has changed dramatically since this podcast was started is that my social battery has withered to like a 15-year-old iPhone is how I hold the charge. So I apologize,
No.
but I love you guys and I'm happy to be here.
Of course. And then we'll close it. We'll read off what we've submitted to the registry. That's gonna be fun. But yeah, so Tom, Kyle, and myself have all completed our awards, for all these categories. And I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna call you out on Mike a little bit, Kyle. We're gonna play for those of you listening, play a fun game at home. There is a chance that one of the movies that Kyle names he has not actually watched.
Facts. Which one is it? You'll never know.
We'll never know. I just remember we recorded last season's finale. I was like, "Oh, I'm surprised you watched that." And you're like, "I didn't. I just assumed, though."
My ballot might not entirely be filled. You'll never know.
He might just hear us say a title and go, "I guess that was something you did."
Yeah, that sounds nice. You'll never know.
Bitch.
Ideas for April Fool's episodes coming in fast.
We got plenty of them. Is it on Thursday next year?
Let's find out later.
Okay, yeah. See, look at that. That's smart. We'll find out later.
Good-
Don't just
good call.
open Google Calendar now. So, without any further ado, Amanda, you are our MC for the evening. Kick us off. What are we talking about first? And I guess we'll kind of go Mike, Tom, Kyle, or Tom, Mike, Kyle. How do we want to do it? Or Kyle,
Mike, Tom, Kyle.
Mike,
I'm
Tom,
not
Kyle.
Tom.
Great. Okay, Amanda.
Do we want to start? How are we starting? From the bottom up? Are we saving or just?
Well, no, it's just in the order that it is on the. behind the curtain. Order that it is on the Google Doc. So starting with favorite first time viewing, and then we'll go down actor, actress. We usually always end on visual effects because it's a weird one.
Okay.
So Amanda, kick us off. What are we? What's the first question?
The first category is what was your favorite first time viewing from season 4?
So obviously in the context of this, and we've talked before, first time viewing means our first time viewing for the podcast, right? So even if we watched it like months and months ago, it's something that we watched specifically because of the show, right? Because we knew we were doing it. Because I tend to watch the next season's films before we record this episode, you know? So I'm going based off of that, and I have to say, and I think I might not be the only one who says this, I think. My favorite first time viewing was The Bank Dick. Before, like, I knew it was coming up, and I kind of wrote for it. I kind of like knew it was like, oh, it's a W.C. Fields movie. And the strange thing is, when I watched it in prep, like before we recorded season 3's finale, my feeling was that movie was fun, right? But once we actually got down to doing the episode and I watched it again, I just fell head over heels for it. Like every joke landed 10 times more for me. And what a delight that movie is. How much fun it was for me to just go through the W.C. Fields filmography was just wonderful. So I'm just so thrilled to have gotten to do that for this show. The Bank Dick is easily my favorite first time watch for this podcast.
Yeah, I love The Bank Dick. That's one of I'm tied. So Mike picking it helps me out. I mean, he's just a fat, drunk, buffoon, idiot, dumbass, and I love him so much. He's great. He is my life goal. But I will say, as you know, a tie, I'm gonna say Corman Jones. I feel like that's my Gigi of the year. It's gonna be. I feel like it's gonna be what's Tom's Gigi of the year, the one that nobody expects him to pick as for this. But yeah, really loved it. Looked great, sounded great, acting was, the whole shebang. Loved that movie, really good. Somebody put out a Blu-ray of it. That would be nice for me.
It has a Blu-ray.
Oh, excuse me. But yeah,
a 4K.
It's an early Blu-ray. Yeah, let's get a 4K because we could get a better transfer. We could get a, let's go. Same thing with Gigi. That doesn't even have a Blu-ray, but like, let's come on, guys. Let's get some shit going. Come
on. Mine by default is Psycho because I can't really say Birth of a Nation was an enjoyable rewatch. But for me, Hitchcock was one of the first, if not the first, director I really studied in like film studies and everything. And so to have this sort of be a full circle moment for me and to try to appreciate it rather than kind of scratch my head going, well, yeah, it's good, but why, was fulfilling for me. It just kind of showed me where I had been in my journey.
So you'd never seen Psycho before this season?
You said most enjoyable rewatch, right?
No, this is first time
viewing.
First time viewing.
Skipping ahead of me.
That's
on
fine.
the list.
Take 2. All right, you ready?
Yeah, I am. Hold, please.
Oh, you little bastard.
Yeah, no, I actually do. I didn't have that on my list. I totally apologize. I can redo this one.
Okay. Yeah, so take 2.
Let's do it. First time viewing. I'm going to bring this up again, but it is actually going to be Salesman for me. It's a movie that otherwise should be boring as hell in terms of its premise. It's guys going door to door selling Bibles, and there's something captivating enough about it to really make you, I don't know, just be captivated enough about them, even though there's not a whole lot going on in terms of like just plot and everything. But I don't really like how the psych is going, to be perfectly honest with you. But sorry, folks.
No, I mean, it's fine, Kyle. I'll admit I'm a little stunned, and I don't know if Tom is too, because this happens to us every season, but you said Salesman, and I was like, Kyle, we did that like 3 seasons ago. I was like, no, that was this one. That's how long we've been doing this season.
That was this one. I double-checked it.
Forever ago.
Jesus
That
Christ.
we did Salesman. We recorded Salesman so long ago that Amy's documentary was not yet in theaters, and I'm pretty sure by the time this comes out, it's out on VOD. That's how long the time was.
I think that was one of the first shows that we watched like pre-season
Yes.
4 like recordings and stuff too. So literally almost a year ago.
Yeah, we did like a triple
God.
feature hangout, the three of us, to do
Oh,
was Salesman, Letter from an Unknown Woman, and Salt of the Earth. So Amanda,
That-
get excited. In between the seasons, you get to we'll do some remote watches of some of the season 5 films. So it'll be great. It'll be fun.
Sounds like a good time.
Heck yeah. So what's next for us, Amanda?
Most enjoyable rewatch.
So for me, this is going to be no surprise, but the most enjoyable rewatch was Dog Star Man. Not only do I love Dog Star Man, but I also, fortunately, my rewatch of it was Kyle's first time seeing it, which is he and I went to the Anthology Film Archives and got to see it projected on film, and in a venue built by Jonas Mekas. Like, this is, as good as it gets. Like, that is a print that probably came from Stan Brackage's own hands at that point. Like, it's, I adore that movie, and I made that very clear on that episode. I always consider it a privilege to revisit it, but to get to see it under those circumstances felt profound in a way, because to watch Dog Star Man at home, you can kind of like look at your phone if you want. You could play music, you could do whatever, but like see it in that setting, it's you and a bunch of other people in a cold, on a cold New York City night, crammed in this little theater in total silence for an hour while these abstract images play out in front of you. I understand that for some people that may be a definition of torture, but for me it was a profound experience.
yeah.
One that, I mean, it was the equivalent, honestly, for me, it was the equivalent of something we talked about last season, which is seeing Lawrence of Arabia in 70 millimeter, where you're just like, yeah, this is in a theater full of people. You're like, this is how it's meant to feel. So, most enjoyable rewatch for me is easily Dog Star Man.
Most enjoyable rewatch for me was Ride the High Country, movie I really liked first time I saw it many moons ago. But just rewatching it with pretty much the complete Peckinpah filmography finally in my pocket, and just being able to have the 30,000 feet view of like his whole thing, and seeing basically where it all started, and also just having more westerns in my brain, and just being able to appreciate all of that, what it did, and being stunned anew by how well written and directed it is, and how much darker it is than you remember, and how much more melancholic the ending is, and just all of that. And yeah, like I could say like Psycho or whatever, but like at this point, I'm not watching Psycho anymore and getting new like reappraisals of it or getting bumped up in my esteem. Like, I've hit that level of just like, yeah, I watch this movie all the time, and it's just like comfort food, So Ride the High Country, it's been a bit, and the Peckinpah of it all has pretty much got me back into a Peckinpah mood, and very much into a Western mood. I've been watching a lot of Westerns recently. So, yeah, I really love doing that episode. And I thought it was just a great episode in general of that. So, yeah, good movie.
Well, fine, Tom. If you won't pick Psycho, I will, because that was the only movie that I rewatched by default, because I can't really describe Birth of a Nation as an enjoyable rewatch. So it was not a movie that I appreciated when it first came out. It was one of the first movies that I watched when I first started to really take film studies seriously. Hitchcock's one of the first directors you really kind of look at and as an auteur, or at least you did in middle school in 2008. But yeah, right. Yeah, there you go. Obama wasn't even elected yet. Obama wasn't even elected yet. Boom. But yes, I think it's again more of a little bit of what Tom mentioned of it being just a comfort food, but also really just personally being able to reflect and see my own film studies journey from when I started to being able to watch it now. It's much deeper than just that movie.
Middle school in 2008, definitely making me feel like a decrepit old fossil. I was already in college.
Same.
Speaking of going back in time,
yeah.
Our next category is if you could go back in time and watch one movie in theaters when it debuted, which would you pick?
So here's a fun one. My answer is actually two answers, because the movie that I'm picking came out two different times in two different forms. and I would go see either one. I would love to have seen The Gold Rush when it first came out in its original silent form. I think
Hmm.
there was a magic to that movie. I would have loved to have seen the dinner roll dance and all of that play out in silence or with the little, orchestral. The organ score. But then there's the sound re-release, and I wonder what that must have been like too, to see this Chaplin short this Chaplin feature kind of turned into this sound film. I just that was and it's happened before. It happened when we did City Lights. It tends to happen a lot. There's just no matter how you remember Chaplin's films from the last time you saw them, every time you rewatch them, you kind of get moved anew at the magic of it. And yeah, I would just love the privilege of getting to see. I've seen Chaplin films with an audience, but obviously they're all people that know what they're getting into. I'm trying to imagine what that must have been like to sit down for the Gold Rush, basically having only seen Chaplin shorts and sit down for this incredible little film. So the Gold Rush is my answer. Either cut of it.
I mean, listen, it's a nice answer. It's very cute. Good job. But you failed because there is only one answer. There's one answer. It's Psycho.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, we'd seen Chaplin shorts before. We've seen Psycho was just like the world has changed after this movie. We've never seen anything like this before. This doesn't even feel like, in many ways, a Hitchcock movie. Black and white. The sleaze is kind of pretty much text at this point, not subtext. The violence, the killing of your main character halfway through, just everything about it. The score, and the marketing campaign, we won't let you in once the movie starts. Just the whole thing. I mean, the answer Psycho. Like, what the hell would that must that have been like? And just to watch people, like, on that first screening on opening day, just to watch them would be like, yeah, you get them, Hitch. Get their asses. It's the only answer. Don't fuck it up, Kyle.
Nope, sorry, I'm gonna fuck it up. I'm gonna defend Mike here. I am not going to say the Gold Rush. We do all have three different answers, but I'm gonna defend Mike here because I did mention to Amanda before the recording what my answer was going to be, and I thought you would appreciate it, Mike, because I picked Annie Hall. I picked Annie Hall because, knowing my own bias with that movie and with Woody Allen's work, to be able to transport myself to the time when that movie premiered, when Allen was going to begin his career, to really appreciate it before everything, I guess the dark cloud around his legacy happened, that really made it impossible for me to separate the art from the artist in that moment. Just me knowing myself and my tastes and the way that I probably would have reacted to Annie Hall in that moment, I know it would have been an informative or an impactful film for me. And I would be curious to know how my tastes would have evolved from that moment.
So I'm sorry, I just want to jump in, Kyle, because I'm going to say I don't trust you on that answer. And I think Tom may back me up on this. Here's why I don't trust you on that answer, Kyle. Because when I say I would want to travel back to 1942, like, give me a time machine, I'm going back to a cinema in 1942 to watch The Gold Rush. If I get in that time machine, I'm going to watch The Gold Rush. Tom, I fully believe. You give him a time machine, you send him back to 1960, he's walking into a cinema to see Psycho. Kyle, I love everything you said in your answer, but also you can't look me in the eyes and say, we give you that DeLorean, we send you back to a movie theater, we say, just go to the counter and say one for Annie Hall. You walk up to the counter and they go, do you want Annie Hall or Star Wars? I don't believe that a part of your brain doesn't kick in and go, I'm sorry, wait, oh right, wait, Star Wars is this year?
Mike,
wait a minute. Yeah.
We covered Star Wars in season 1,
no,
so that wasn't the answer.
I'm just saying, to make it clear, if you had a time machine and you're going back to Annie Hall, it's still like, yeah, I would buy a ticket for Annie Hall, and then, afterward, maybe I'd do a double feature. Maybe just sneak next to the other.
100%. Oh, to be clear, yeah, Porque no los dos, 100%. But, I'm not, don't.
In Kyle's defense, we are only picking from
No,
the
I know.
pool of
Yes,
movies
that is fair. That is fair.
We did before we started recording confirm that he was picking it.
We'll have to look at that.
To be clear, no, I'm saying I believe that that's his answer for this season. I just don't believe that if he had a time machine, it was in 1977. I think even if we gave him even if you told him, hey, if you don't see Annie Hall, your whole family gets erased from the picture, Back to the Future style, he'd be like, yeah, but on the other hand, it's not the special edition. Do you guys understand that? It's not the special. There's no AT-ATs walking in the background. Do you guys get that?
And I know you're joking, but like even my personal tastes out of it, like the cultural impact and what like the conversations around like that the film circles would have been, like, you know, the way that we talk about like I don't know. I feel like it'd be like the way that we talk about like Past Lives last year, right? Like that inner circle movie of like, did you see this movie? Holy freaking shit! And like most people wouldn't know, and then eventually it makes its way around, and like those that know about it. And so like part of me is sort of curious to be like, ooh, what would that slow trickle, like cultural trickle into? You know, I'd kind of want to see that in real time too. And of course, Star Wars taking the hell over.
All right, we are about to get into some more familiar categories, or awards categories. I promise the orchestra will not play anybody off, no matter how much I might want to by the time we get into the end. And we are starting with Best Actor.
So, Best Actor, I don't know where we're going to go. Again, we have our main and our runner-up. I'm going to guess, I could be right, I'm going to guess at least Tom and I have the same Best Actor pick. Probably different runners-up. I could be wrong. But I did kind of have to go with the fact that the answer for Best Actor is Anthony Perkins for Psycho. We talked a lot on that episode about how that should have won an actual literal award. And I just think that is such a transformative performance, so much so that it locked Perkins into that type of role for the rest of his career. He was such an extraordinary performer, but that Norman Bates performance is just remarkable. And I think horror cinema is not the same if he doesn't give that exact performance. As for my runner-up, it's somebody giving a performance that they did not get pigeonholed for. It's somebody breaking out of a pigeonhole. My runner-up is James Cagney breaking out of the gangster mold with Footlight Parade. You may not come away from Footlight Parade going like, oh, that's an Oscar-worthy performance. You know, it doesn't give him a ton to do because it is just a fun little musical, but Jesus Christ, some of that dancing, some of that charisma, he just dominates that movie in an extraordinary way, and just what a privilege it is to get to watch James Cagney perform. So my winner is Anthony Perkins for Psycho. My runner-up is James Cagney for Footlight Parade.
All right, well, you fucked up again because you're wrong.
Really?
Wow. Anthony Perkins in Psycho is my runner-up.
Wow.
Iconic. Everything you said was correct. Just titanic performance. Unbelievable. But you are forgetting we did cover a movie that I quite literally have to fucking stand the rest of my... Mitchum in The Night of the Hunter is just one of those, like, in a career filled with just great, iconic performances. He is just out of control good in that movie. He is the guiding light, the anchoring force that keeps that weird, poetic, German expressionistic, gothic horror, southern horror thing just completely staying on the rails, knowing exactly what the tone is. By all accounts, directing the stuff for the kids because Lawton was a real grumpy fat fuck who didn't like kids. Doing all that and just the charm and the sleaze and the fact that you're afraid of him, but he's also clearly a moron is just, it's just such a good fucking performance that, I got his fucking tattoos tattooed on my fingers, man. It's the best. So Perkins is a runner-up and Mitchum is my best actor. It's just, it couldn't go any other way for me.
Well, I do apologize, Tom. I am going to have to defend Mike here again and say Anthony Perkins, although admittedly, this one was the one that I tried not to sort of give it to by default because I kind of felt like it was the easy answer. But it really is hard to kind of pick anything that really came close to that. And admittedly, kind of forgot the importance of Night of the Hunter to you, Tom. And I'm not even going to pretend that I have a runner-up because, like the Oscars, I don't believe in silver medals. So
It really is just the case of if Mitchum wasn't in here, in my opinion, everyone else after him, a lot of great performances. Don't get me wrong, but it's like Mitchum and Perkins are just like up here, and everyone else is like down here, like doing great work, but like nowhere near the top of Mount Olympus, like the way those two guys are. It's just like not even fair.
Sorry,
No.
I was muted.
that's okay. That's okay.
Next up is Best Actress.
Best Actress was a little tough at first. There are a lot of great actress performances this season. But to kind of give away what was going on, before I came in here, obviously Bella, my partner, was here, and I mentioned we were doing this, and she kind of got on me. She goes, "Well, you better pick Katharine Hepburn for Best Actress. Like, that was my movie. Adam's Rib. I covered that. Who are you going to pick besides her?" And I said, I tell you what, I can tell you my runner-up and my winner, and you are going to agree with them. That's how locked in they are. And she was very skeptical. And when I told her my runner-up is Marlene Dietrich in Morocco, she went, fair. Yeah, fair. Oh, wow, fair. And I went, and there was only one that beat out Marlene Dietrich in Morocco. And before I even said it, she goes, Carmen Jones. It's Dorothy Dandridge and Carmen Jones. And I'm like, you're damn right it is. Because even her, she didn't watch the whole movie with me, but just like the minute Carmen Jones enters the scene, in that first scene of the film, even she was like, who the hell is that? Who is that person that just electrifies the screen? And it's tough. You could swap those too. Dietrich in Morocco is absolutely incredible. An easily, incredibly iconic performance, but there is just something about, we often say things on the show like, well, that movie doesn't work without them. And Dorothy Dandridge in Carmen Jones is just such an electric performance, such an extraordinary lightning in a bottle performance that it just has to be acknowledged. So it feels crazy in a way to put Marlene Dietrich in second place because Morocco is so good. But my runner-up is Dietrich in Morocco. My winner, Dorothy Dandridge, Carmen Jones.
Alrighty, this one was a difficult category. Oh fuck, I'm still like torn between my two. What order they go in? So fuck it. I'm just doing it this way. My runner-up is Dorothy Dandridge and Carmen Jones. Amazing, great, just electric work. Crime. She didn't get really much to do after this. All that. Amazing performance. But my pick for Best Actress is going to be Joan Fontaine for Letter from an Unknown Woman. It makes the movie. You got to really buy her entire journey, and, in lesser hands, the character can kind of come off like a naive dope. Just a real pathetic wretch that just ruins her life for this one, just pretty shitty guy, which I think every woman needs to learn in their life is that Frenchmen are not worth it. Thank you.
Can confirm.
So it's an important movie, and it's anti-French messaging. But no, it's a beautiful movie, and as much as everything in the movie works and is great, if it's not for her, the movie doesn't work. It just doesn't. And I think it's fantastic stuff. And that's another one. Let's get more home media on that one out there. Let me put that in my collection. It's a great movie.
Oh, please, sorry. My Best Actress pick, not very controversial here. I went with Diane Keaton and Annie Hall. Tom sort of alluded to the fact that there are certain roles that cannot really work, or a film cannot work without certain roles, and I feel like Diane Keaton's role in this is no exception. And frankly, it was something that I noticed the rewatch this time that I appreciated was how equally human and equally complex that Alan creates Annie Hall, or Annie Hall and his character. There's not a lot of it doesn't feel very one-sided. It feels like you could know that you've met someone like Annie Hall and have fallen for them or have been entangled with them in some way. And it just leaves a very lasting impression. So I know it's a very safe answer. I know she did win the Oscar for her performance, but I don't believe Annie Hall works without our Annie Hall. So Diane Keaton is my pick.
All right, before we move on to the next category, I just want to go back to what Tom said, and that's that I took French for 7 years, and it was a big waste of time, as were any of the French boys I've met in my life. Next category is Best Supporting Actor.
Well, just jumping off of what she said, all French women are goddesses and all French men are criminals.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would 100%, I would pull out my 7th grade French for a French woman. But
although there really is like I forget what tweet or whatever, like Mike sent me. There is no greater fear than when a French actress like tweets or Instagrams something about like they don't like it when we tell the truth, and it's like, oh god, you're gonna say something about like the lizard people.
Marion.
Yeah.
So best supporting
Julie.
actor. Did you say the next category is best supporting actor yet, Amanda, or not?
I did.
Okay, great. Best supporting actor was really tough. I don't know if it was tough for you guys. It was really tough. And my winner is actually going to be a little out of left field, I think. But I had to search my heart for it, and I know it to be true. My best supporting actor winner is only on screen for like 5 minutes. My runner-up is, or I forget what order I'm doing these in. Whatever, I'll just say it. My best actor winner is James Finlayson for Big Business. For those who don't remember that actor's name, in the Laurel and Hardy short Big Business, he's the guy whose house they're fucking up. And he's so funny. He gets so mad so fast, and watching him just beat the shit out of their truck is incredible. Like, he's exactly what you need. You think Laurel and Hardy and you just think of Laurel and Hardy, but like he plays off of them so well. And we were on the episode, we talked about how fun he is to watch. And I'm like, you know what? Let's give credit where credit is due. He really just delivers in a very short film. He's very memorable, and I have to give it up to him. My runner-up is Henry Gibson for Nashville. We talked about it in the episode. I love Nashville. Henry Gibson is probably, on a given day, my favorite character in Nashville. If nothing else, the pomposity with which he sings "We Must Be Doing Something Right to Last 200 Years" at the beginning should earn it. But even so, if I was given the Oscars, I'm giving him the Oscar just for the line delivery. This isn't Dallas, it's Nashville. It's Nashville. That's enough. Give him the statue. So my winner is James Finlayson for Big Business. My runner-up, Henry Gibson for Nashville.
Just bouncing off of that, when I was like making all of this, and I picked 5 for everything just to kind of like whittle it down and then make my final 2 picks as we're recording, like kind of knowing basically, but like giving myself the option to in the moment switch. But like supporting actor and actress is really just like, well, how many of the Nashville people are we going to fit in, and are they going to rise to runner up and winner? So it's really just like, at least for me, just like I wanted to just give one Nashville person at least in my 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could really just fill it up with, well, just give it to Nashville, like, but Nashville really is the supporting actor movie. But yes, this one, well, not for my winner. I knew who my winner was immediately, but figuring out who the runner-up was very hard because of stuff like Nashville and other stuff. But because we talked about it in the episode, but also like in texting before recording the episode, and then rewatching the movie, being like, "Oh right, the second this guy shows up, immediately this is like the guy. He acts everyone else off the screen, and you see why he became such an iconic force in his own right." My runner-up is Gene Hackman in Bonnie and Clyde. Like he's just immediately like, "Oh, that's Gene Hackman." You can see why. Whatever. 2 years later, he wins for French Connection. 3 years later, Best Actor for fucking French Connection. Why he's, to this day, one of the most iconic actors of all time, and a guy that really just was never bad, even if he was in bad movies. You always got good stuff from Gene. But my winner was kind of just an immediate like, "Oh right, this happened this year." Edward G. Robinson in Double Indemnity. I mean, he just walks into this movie and just takes everyone's lunch money. It's just, he's so fucking like, almost like you when you were saying about Cagney, like shifting away from the gangster thing, like seeing Edward G. Robinson not being a gangster and just being a nerd who's really good at putting like obscure facts together. And also like kind of being a friend, big brother, like surrogate dad figure to Fred McMurray. And like Fred McMurray's constantly like, "Is this guy gonna figure me out?" But like the whole time he's just like, "Do, I'm a big nerd, like I know at some point I'll figure this out. It's great. Oh, Fred McMurray, you're my good friend. Like blah blah blah." And just the heart, like kind of heartbreaking at the end where he's like, "Come on, man, why the fuck did you do this to me? Like, I don't like people, and I liked you." Like, very relatable in that regard. But yeah, I think this one was just like, he's so like, it might be like Edward G. Robinson's defining performance, and like that's again saying something for that guy who was of his era one of the iconic actor movie stars of like, of all time. So yeah, that's my stuff. Next.
I'm going to come clean and say that this was the category I did not have a confident winner in, something that I did not really feel very strongly about. So, congratulations, Henry Gibson. You've won my Best Supporting Actor award, because truly I was just so stumped for this that I promised to make it up for the rest of these categories because I'm quite hyped.
Okay.
All right, and then next up is Best Supporting Actress.
All right, so we're going to do something a little fun for this because of my answer. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, Tom, Kyle, I'm going to have you guys on camera. I don't know who I'm going to cut to first, but I'm going to leave the audience in a moment. I'm going to give the audience, you guys, in a moment of suspense, because I'm going to say a name, and I'm not going to say the title, and I'm going to see if either of you worries that I'm about to do something bad. My Best Supporting Actress winner is Lillian Gish in Night of the Hunter. It's Night of the Hunter. It's Night of the Hunter.
I mean, I knew you weren't doing the other one.
Just to be clear. No, I wrote that down, and then I thought, I'm like, oh, wait. Right. Listen, here's what I'm going to say about Lillian Gish, and this is the one thing I'll say. She's never bad. She's never a bad actress. But I'm going to give it to her for Night of the Hunter for two reasons. One, she really is extraordinary in Night of the Hunter. We talk about it on that episode. That she just, you think she's in that movie more for how much she stands out once you've seen it. And it's remarkable how much she captures that screen, especially at the age she's at, how long she's been acting. It's just such a great performance. It's such a beautifully done, tender and loving performance. And when you consider like the fact that this is a very for its time kind of avant-garde and expressionistic movie that requires a very specific style of acting. And we're getting that from a woman who not only didn't have to do that before, but started in silent cinema. Like that's somebody who, if Lillian Gish couldn't even make the transition to sound, you wouldn't be surprised, because a lot of those actors couldn't. But the fact that she can go toe-to-toe with Robert Mitchum in Night of the Hunter, incredible. And the other reason I'm giving it to her for Night of the Hunter is it's kind of like when the Oscars nominated Dennis Hopper for Hoosiers, even though you're like, I mean, he also had Blue Velvet, and like, we can't touch Blue Velvet. We can't touch Frank Booth. So we're giving him the Hoosiers nomination. My runner-up, though, in that category, it's going to bounce off of something Tom said before. My runner-up is Lily Tomlin for the motion picture Nashville. Because she's the other character besides Henry Gibson that like I tend to gravitate towards and I really gravitated towards on this watch. And I feel like watching Nashville, especially this time around, and I think Lily Tomlin just had a birthday and people were posting about her on Twitter, but like you watch her in Nashville or you watch her in 9 to 5, you do have that moment, or even like watching Grace and Frankie, you do kind of have a moment where you're just like, God, we don't appreciate Lily Tomlin enough. Like, we really don't. And, I'll say on that note, tangentially, like, this year, the National Recording Registry inducted one of her comedy albums. And it's, like, good. Good that you're giving her that recognition. Like, that's important. So, my runner-up, Lily Tomlin for Nashville. My winner, Lillian Gish for Night of the Hunter.
All right. So, interesting. It's interesting the ways in which sometimes we're, like, overlapping half of the time. Because my runner-up is Lillian Gish in The Night of the Hunter. Mm-hmm. This was another one that was really tough. I won where I think with a bullet, my winner is like the one, but like filling out the other five. Because like, I got to give Lillian Gish the runner-up, but like, just a peek behind the curtain. From Nashville, Lily Tomlin was my pick. I also thought, whatever we think about it, Anne Savage and Detour was really fun. Mm-hmm. Shelley Duvall, rest in peace. Shelley Duvall and Annie Hall.
Yeah.
More than Nashville. She fucking steals Annie Hall out from under everybody, in my opinion, in that movie. But, like, and that was just the four I picked after my winner. I'm like, fuck, like, and then, like, I was putting other people, like, Lillian Gish and Night of the Hunter, unbelievable. Everything Mike just said, absolutely true. She's stunning. She's just absolute, like, the fact that she's able to shift out of silent movies, I don't want to say at her advanced age in this movie, but she's older and, her heyday had kind of passed her. But to go up and just, like, to just toe-to-toe with Mitchum, man, that's like when Mike Tyson was still throwing, like, one-punch knockouts and having fights end in 45 seconds. And she's, like so good, like, you think Mitchum might have to bite her ear off to keep the fight going. But my winner is, kind of, I think, the defining supporting actress performance, because it's so supporting to the movie that it's a shock when she's not in it anymore. Janet Leigh in Psycho. Because like we talked about in the episode, this is actually something I do remember from the episode because I'm never going to forget it when I rewatched it. It's funny that we always think of it like, oh my God, can you believe they killed Janet Leigh in the first half of the movie? We thought she was the main character. And I'm like, she's billed with the end. Mm-hmm. It's not that you go through the whole credits and then it's and Janet Leigh. She's a supporting character in this fucking movie. And so in that way where she's so important and her, presence and lack of presence is so impactful on the movie, cinema changed. And we kind of, if you think about it, that's kind of like the most defining supporting performance in maybe all of cinema history. And she's great in what she's in the movie, in the parts of the movie that she's in. Like you don't feel you feel for her. She's stuck at a kind of a shitty job, and she's kind of for the time getting older and isn't married, but she's in an affair with a married man, and you don't know if you can really trust Loomis if he's just using her or not. The money's there, like the temptation, me and Loomis can run off, and how she hits it off with Norman. And she starts, like, she's seeing the creepy come out, but she's trying to, like, maybe I'm just being unfair. Clearly this guy's got a rough life and blah, blah, blah. And then the death scene, like, for as much as it's a directorial feat, if she's not selling, the abject terror of some absolute freak twink in his mom's fucking clothes stabbing the shit out of her in a bathroom stall, like, I mean... Hitch could direct the hell out of it, but might not be as impactful. So Janet Leigh is my pick for Best Supporting Actress with Lillian Gish. in a close runner-up from The Night of the Hunter.
I too also went with Janet Leigh for Psycho, and for the cultural osmosis that is that shower scene. I mean, you don't have to be a cinephile to recognize what that movie is. You know who made it. You may not know what happens afterwards, but that is a movie that is, or a scene that captures a generation, and so it is hard to deny both her work and Hitchcock's work with the camera. So, Janet Leigh with Psycho.
All right, our next category is Best Director.
So I'm going to do this live on mic because I have somebody in the runner-up slot. I have somebody in the best director slot. They are both cases of movies I love. They are two of my favorite movies. Kyle, you're crossing your fingers. I promise you, they're not whoever you're thinking of, man.
Oh, all right.
Oh no. I mean, maybe you could guess one, but they're certainly not on your list. I'll tell you that much.
Okay. Cool.
But they're two movies that I adore from directors I adore that are both cases of like nobody else could manage this chaos but you two. So one's gonna get runner up, one's gonna get supporting. We're just gonna heads or tails it here. I got a quarter. Let's see what's up. Okay, tails it is. So my runner-up is Robert Altman for the motion picture Nashville, because no other human being could manage the chaos of that fucking movie. We talk about it on the episode, but like that's James Joyce's Ulysses on film. Like that's just so many moving parts, and nobody else could do it but him. But there's somebody even more, nobody else could do it but him in that regard. So my actual, Altman's my runner-up. My winner is Stan Brakhage for Dog Star Man, because no other human being could do that. No other human being would think to do that. Most other human beings wouldn't even want to do that. But it's just like, oh, you invented a whole new thing here, man. We talked about it a lot on the episode with Ben Hosley, but like the idea that before that, a lot of your experimental films were surrealist shit. They were Salvador Dali, they were Maya Deren, who I respect, Maya Deren, but like even Tom had to give it up that it's like on that, like, for as much as he hated the experience of watching Dog Star Man, there's nothing pretentious about Brakhage. There's nothing inauthentic about what he's doing. He's just a guy who's like, no, I'm not doing this to fit in with a crowd. I'm not doing this to appeal to anybody. I'm going to try and take you on a journey, and I'm going to try and show you what I'm feeling. And that's remarkable, especially for the time it was coming out. So best director for me is Stan Brakhage for Dog Star Man, runner-up Robert Altman for Nashville, but as you could tell, it could have gone either way for me.
Excuse me. This one, was really hard. Some absolutely titanic, just fucking figures here doing some career best work. I mean, oh boy. I'm not going to flip a coin because once I put them together, my 5, the number 1 stood out pretty hard. And then figuring out the number 2 kind of became like, okay, I guess these are the 2. As much as there's so many great in there that it's just my runner-up is Hitchcock for Psycho. Game-changing directing. I mean, especially for like maybe we talked about it in the episode. I don't remember. But just like kind of the last hurrah from the guy. After this, it was just steadily declining until he was just a specter roaming the halls of Universal Studios, getting harassed by John Landis all the time. It's, game changer. Horror cinema changed forever after this movie. Just maybe the best directing he ever did, and for a guy who's pretty much just, like almost shorthand for director, that's saying something. But I gotta go with the one-shot pony. I gotta go with Charles Lawton for The Night of the Hunter. Nothing like it before that, and nothing like it since. But you can feel its influence over so many different filmmakers. The tone is just absolute insane high wire act. The fact that it was his first time directing and he was able to do it, balance that shit, was just crazy. That he got that out of Mitchum, that he got that out of Lillian Gish, that he got that out of the kids, that he got like just the whole thing, and just the visuals, like just the visuals alone just make it like there's nothing else like it. You gotta just give it up to the guy and be like, all right, you maybe only did it once, but god damn it, did you fucking kill it with this one. But so I gotta go with my boy Charlie Lawton as the winner, with Hitch riding the runner-up slot.
We all got different picks for this one.
Ooh, okay.
Mine makes sense, but might come as a left field. But Jesus Christ, hold please. There's a giant ass bug here.
That's fine. That's fine. I mean, we know you're going to say J.W. Griffith, so.
Close. Sorry, he went away.
No, come on. We know you're giving that screenplay.
No, I did give it to Oscar Michaud for Within Our Gates. For all of the reasons it's not Birth of a Nation. It is a direct response to it by an African American man during race riots. It is up to, I think, still now the oldest preserved film made by an African American, which technically wasn't even found until a few years or like a couple decades ago and everything. So people just thought it was lost. So the more I contextualize how he made that film in the period he made that film, knowing to even consider it would probably make him the victim of lynchings. Just seems that much more impactful for me to recognize, and it's just another example why, if you feel compelled to make art, you should.
Okay, our next category is Best Cinematography.
All right, Tom and I have the same one. And I know we have the same one because Tom, on the season 3 finale, already called his shot and went, all right, so next season's Best Cinematography is locked down. So, called it before we even started season 4.
Hey, man.
So anyway,
sometimes I know what I'm doing.
My winner and Tom's winner are Night of the Hunter. Just call it. Let's just call it. My runner-up might also be his. I'm going to be real with you. My runner-up is Carmen Jones. Two very different saturations. Two very different film stocks and everything. But obviously, Night of the Hunter's cinematography is extraordinary. You could frame most of that movie on your wall. But then you watch Carmen Jones, and you're just blown away by just the sheer scope of it, the color. It's just a beautiful, visually ambitious movie. It's incredible. It looks both real and unreal at the same time. Just great picture all around. So my winner is Night of the Hunter. My runner-up is Carmen Jones.
Yeah, so he's right. My winner is Stanley Cortez's work on The Night of the Hunter. Yes, I actually wrote down the cinematographers. I wanted to give them their shout out. Stanley Cortez did unbelievable work on The Night of the Hunter. Another one of those game changing movies where just the look of it was going to like The Velvet Underground. Not everybody saw it, but everybody who did see it became a weird little freak that made movies. This was like some movie fucking Burton saw on some 16 mil reel in like his basement when he was like 10 or whatever, and that just like lightning bolted his brain, and he went, "What if a dog was Frankenstein?" Hey, I would love if I had a Frankenstein dog. Look, he's cute, but he's got bolts on his neck. Look at this guy. Look at him go.
What is your runner-up?
Fuck you. Just for that, I'm not giving Carmen Jones the runner-up. Take that, Sam Levitt.
Wait, was it actually your runner-up? Did we actually double up
no,
the whole way? Okay.
No, I was real. This one, again, was so fucking tough. After the number one, I was like, what the fuck is the runner-up? So I'm going to go, maybe a bit of a left field one, but I really love the look and the composition and all of that of Letter from an Unknown Woman, Franz Planer. The look of that movie was very gorgeous. There was almost, I want to say, like a melancholic snow globe feel to the movie. It just very much felt like a memory piece, a tone poem. And while it's being very narrative heavy, it did feel very much like, kind of like what we talked about in the Castro Street episode or whatever, like how that just kind of, how that affected stuff. And like you watched the premiere of this season of The Bear, where it's like really you get into like that feeling of like the memory and everything, and just the look of this really nails the tone this movie's going for of a man basically living the memories of a woman that he forgot, and that could have been something good if he didn't forget. So yeah, I love the look of that. So Franz Planer's work on Letter from an Unknown Woman's my runner-up, and obviously Stanley Cortez, the God, for The Night of the Hunter is the winner.
Mine might be a shock, but not really. I went with Castro Street. One, because it's a tight 10 and we love a tight 10. Also, because the more I did a little research on it and realized that there is a subtitle for it, The Coming of Consciousness, really made me appreciate that movie a lot more, because it feels so much like a statement of like what home videos could be, what they can be now. Anybody could make a Castro Street. More importantly, you could watch something like a Castro Street and immediately be like, oh, this feels like, I don't know, those like first like formative years, like 0 through 10, where you're just kind of like going through the motions and everything looks familiar and yet also like abstract simultaneously. And it does so much with so little. And I just love both what it does and also what it represents for what can be represented in the registry.
To be clear, Kyle, I agree with everything you're saying, and I will repeat most of that in some other categories as well. So
don't worry.
Some love. Anyway.
Before we move on to our next category, I would just like to say, for any of our listeners playing along at home, even though he didn't say the words, because Tom changed his runner-up, I'm going to bump up the Mike fucked up counter to 3. So if you're playing this drinking game, take another shot. And now we're going to roll right into best screenplay.
Why am I catching strays tonight? Is there
because
celebration?
It's funny for me.
Because it's funny when you flail.
So screenplay, the winner is obvious for me, because it's Annie Hall, because it is Annie Hall. Some people like to claim that, we talked about it on the episode, some people like to claim like, oh, well, that movie was found in the editing. No, the answer is he had a screenplay for a murder mystery type thing, and then they whittled it down before they started shooting, But just Annie Hall, so many perfect moments in that script, so many great bits of dialogue, so many great situations, and there's just something about it when you're watching it, regardless of anything else. Like some of those lines, whether it's the beginning, the Groucho Marx joke, I don't want to be in a club that wouldn't have me as a member, to, we need the eggs, to even the little moments, I mean, the fact of the matter is the brilliance of the Marshall McLuhan sequence when they're in line for the sorrow and the pity, right? There's so many just great moments, just a hell of a screenplay, something that anybody that has ever sat down to write a romance or a romantic comedy aspires to in some way. My runner-up is also a comedy, and I think it deserves credit. You probably don't think of it in a screenplay category, but it absolutely deserves it, for the sheer brilliance of sitting down and going, we have 7 minutes, 3 opera songs, we need to change these lyrics. You have to give at least runner-up to writing Kill the Wabbit. You have to. That's a fact. So my runner-up is What's Opera Doc, one of the greatest Looney Tunes shorts of all time. Anybody, like, again, give it the Oscar just for O Brunhilde, You're So Lovely. Like, that's, I say that so many times on our What's Opera Doc episode, because, like, there's so many legitimately good jokes in it, right? But just the brilliance of having Elmer Fudd, oh, Broomhilde, you're so lovely. Come on. That's enough. But yeah, kill the wabbits, a wise storm. And the brilliance of just closing it out with the, what did you expect, a happy ending? Like, there's so much comedic genius in What's Opera Doc. It's the same way, like, when you catch a Simpsons rerun during the golden years and you're just like, my God, the not just the hit ratio of the jokes, but like, how did you think to go to there? What's Opera Doc is the same thing as, like, when when Superintendent Chalmers comes to Skinner's house to get the hamburgers, right? It's like it's a quick thing where you're like, this is smarter than most feature films. So my runner-up, What's Opera Doc, but my winner, Annie Hall.
I mean, take another drink. Mike's wrong with his absolute confidence. It's Annie Hall. It's Annie Hall. It's Annie Hall. He's wrong. Absolutely incorrect. So my runner-up is the script written by N.B. Stone Jr., William S. Roberts, and Sam Peckinpah for Ride the High Country. What they were able to do with telling this almost proto-Unforgiven story of kind of an elegy and a goodbye to the West, giving Randolph Scott, his goodbye, and just this great story about morality and having a code and that. And I just thought it was a great script. Maybe the best script Peckinpah ever worked with. For whatever you want to say about his work, as a fan of his, I love a lot of his stuff. But sometimes his movies are overcoming some flaws in their scripts. But this script is just tight as hell and just kind of could be studied. As the waypoint between the olden days of John Ford and Howard Hawks to, ironically, a Sam Peckinpah, but Sergio Leone, that kind of stuff. But the winner, this is the one where you emphatically go, obviously this is the winner. It's Billy Wilder and Raymond Chandler for Double Indemnity. This is a script that is 100% something you show somebody to be like, all right, listen, kid, you want to learn how to write scripts? Read this one. You'll never be as good as this one, but if you figure out the structure and like how they did everything, maybe you could get something that sells. Because good grief, Billy Wilder, maybe one of the top 5 writers that's ever lived in Hollywood. I mean, just cranked out just masterpiece after masterpiece script. This, might be his best, depending on your mood. Maybe it's Ace in the Hole. Maybe it's Sunset Boulevard. Maybe you're a freak like me and think it's Witness for the Prosecution. Love that Charles Lawton, man. Just a grumpy fat fuck. But he wants justice. Jake and the Fat Man. But, as we talked about in that episode, the clashing of styles between Wilder and Chandler to make something that absolutely overcomes the source material, to make a piece of art that would be almost a definitive piece of that subgenre where you kind of can't even think about noir without, in the 5 movies that come to mind, Double Indemnity is absolutely one of them that's like, oh, this is, Double Indemnity's like it's like it. Like, that's it. The lines are great. It gives Billy Wilder so much great stuff to work with his actors, where you could get such great work from McMurray and Stanwyck and Robinson, and you got so many of those great lines. It's just perfect. Study it, throw it. Just start like printing out a bunch of them and binding them up and start handing them out to people so they could just start yeeting them at the Disney Corporation and being like, there used to be complete scripts. Hey, I'm sorry, but fuck it. We've talked about this off air. We went through their list that they haven't made a great movie since like 2018. Fucking Disney. Write scripts. That might be a good start. Don't let Ryan Reynolds do it. Yeah, so Billy Wilder, Raymond Chandler delivered unreal stuff. They're my winner, but Stone, Roberts, and Peckinpah for Ride the High Country is my runner-up.
I'm going to give this film its proper flowers later, but best screenplay went to Dog Star Man, because I cannot imagine that man wrote a script for this movie. And if he did, I want to see those notes. I want to see what he wrote down and at least tried to share with friends or somebody. I want to know what was going on in that man's head as he was making that.
I was looking at the TV to see what was going on with the fucking Yankee game, and when Kyle said Dog Star Man, I just turned to look at the camera as if somebody told me fucking George C. Scott was standing behind me.
We should picture that when he explains that.
Just like, what?
Yeah.
And your answer was, I don't think he had a screenplay. So I'm going to hit you the next time I see you, probably with a sock filled with oranges.
Tom,
Can it be soon?
Tom, this is a Kyle tradition. There is at least one category. Never forget the season 2 finale, I think it was, where you and I are both like, obviously best actors, Robert De Niro, Raging Bull, and Kyle goes, my pick for best actor, John F. Kennedy in Primary. There's always one. Kyle is always going to have one. You have to just roll with it.
Son of a bitch.
What's next, Amanda?
Next.
Oh, JFK in Primary. Sorry. Ooh. 2-year delayed laugh on that one, Kyle. The next category is best editing. I'm broken.
So I'm going to take what I think is the obvious answer, and I'm going to tell you right now it's my runner-up. Because the obvious answer, I think for most people, is going to be Psycho, and that's not a wrong answer. Like, of course, that thing is edited flawlessly. I mean, the shower sequence alone should win it best editing. But you know, a lot of times an adage you hear is like, well, you shouldn't notice the editing. My winner, that's absolutely not true. The editing is a lot of what's going on with it, but it absolutely works, and it's something that Tom touched on in our episode about it, like the feeling it conveys. It's relying almost entirely on editing to convey an emotion, to convey a feeling. So best editing has to go to Bruce Bailey for Castro Street for me. Like, it's just, the editing in that movie is a magic trick. And especially when you contrast it to All My Life, like we did in that episode, from one single uninterrupted take, and contrast that with the very fast editing, the almost proto MTV style, just quick cuts, and just the way that thing carries you through its edits is just absolutely extraordinary. There are a lot of mainstream films we covered this season that have extraordinary editing. I'm not taking that away from any of them. But I just have to give credit where credit is due on Castro Street, and just what a feat of editing that is in a way that shouldn't work. And yet it does. So my runner-up is Psycho, but my winner is Castro Street.
Excuse me. So my runner-up is Dennis M. Hill and Sidney Levin for Nashville. Mm-hmm. Just mountains of material, and whittling that down into something that's still gargantuan, but is still, you're able to wrap your hands around while never, at least in my opinion, I know in Mike's opinion, don't care about Kyle's opinion. I don't think you ever feel the length of it. It's not like a, in today's day, we live in very much an age where movies are getting longer, and people kind of are at some on one end kind of getting sick of it, but on the other end, just they keep going to see these long ass fucking movies. Again, have to take Disney to task for this. No reason shit like The Eternal should be almost 3 hours long. There's no reason Shang-Chi should be like 2 hours and 20 minutes. Shit like that. But as a close relative, look at Oppenheimer. 3 hours, you never feel it. It goes by in a flash. I think Nashville, you just kind of feel like you're hanging out in Nashville. You never feel like you're in a movie. You never feel like you're doing homework. It's just like, I'm in Nashville and we're bouncing around. We're hanging out with these guys and these gals, and it's cool, Oh no, that lady got shot, but whatever. I'm from New York. People get shot. Whatever. You deal with it. But obviously the winner is, like Mike said, the obvious answer. George Tomasini's work on Psycho. Like, what else can be said? I mean, they made a fucking documentary just about the shower scene, and how it was edited for such maximum impact that, like we said, anytime you talk about Psycho, how it changed the game, changed cinema. And this once, if it wasn't for the absolute perfect execution of this scene, because yeah, you might get a thrill that you kill off Janet Leigh halfway, through the movie, but if it isn't executed well, then a lot of the impact's lost. Then you kind of go, oh, well, that's crazy. Wow, they can't believe that. But it might not be as memorable as it is, 62 years later, So Nashville runner-up, Psycho is, the obvious answer. All right, Kyle. Now tell us which movie you don't think was edited. That is the best edited movie.
I went with Salesman. I went with Salesman. I alluded to this in the beginning. It is a film that in which the premise should be an absolute snorefest, and by the end of it, you really feel for these guys and the struggle at that time, which is Middle America, and the fact that the Maisels were inspired to make this simply to try to go back to where they were from and to try to look at the type of people that they grew up with and try to give that slice of life. Like, this is a movie I could really recommend to anybody who watches like TikTok vlogs and stuff, right? Like, truly, it feels very similar. Where by the beginning you're like, I don't know who you are, I don't know what your deal is, and by the end you're captivated and go, man, I just hope you're okay. I hope you get through the end of this. And these are actual people represented in this film. So I went with Salesman in that regard because of how it impacted me. So fuck you, Tom.
No, fuck you.
A truly gargantuan editing feat will be if Mike makes this video with me nodding thoughtfully as you all give your opinions, make it seem like I have watched more than 4 movies from this season's full list. But moving on, we have Best Original Song.
All right, so I set a rule for myself, which was I was only going to pick one from a movie. Because obviously I could do winner and runner-up, but it's similar to the supporting actor conversation Tom had. You could fill it all with Nashville if you wanted. You could fill it all with Footlight Parade if you wanted, but I wanted to limit myself to one from each. My runner-up I'm going to give to you with my favorite verse from my runner-up, which is, "We're the house detectives, but we're puzzled with no one ever stops here unless their name is Smith. Honeymoon Hotel, the bawdiest song ever put into a movie," from Footlight Parade. We talked about it on the episode, but the amount of innuendo that they fit into this goddamn movie is so funny. Every time I watch Footlight Parade, I love Honeymoon Hotel. It's just such a funny song. And again, for including the lyric, "Bridal suites are never very idle," is just perfect. In and of itself, just perfect. But I'm going to be honest, Tom knows my answer for Best Original Song. It's one of my favorite things in any movie ever. It is my comfort in a chaotic world, and I'm just going to tie in current events a little bit. I'm not going to lie. When the former president of the United States was shot in Pennsylvania, people are running around screaming, and he just manages to pick his fist up and yell, "Fight." In my head, I just started hearing, "It don't worry me. It don't worry me." It is, I love It Don't Worry Me as it appears throughout Nashville, the Keith Carradine rendition, but it is truly that moment at the end of Nashville, right? After Barbara Jean has been shot and everybody's screaming because this woman has just been murdered in front of them. And the crazy woman just grabs the microphone and starts wailing, "It don't worry me," and yelling about fly swatters with little red dots on them. And the crowd just starts singing along. Like, it's just the perfect... Altman heard a song that Keith Carradine was fiddling around with for Thieves Like Us that was just supposed to be a genuine, sincere song about, like, nothing bothers me. And is like, I'm going to make this the anthem for America's collective ignorance. I'm going to make this song the anthem for our ability to unhealthily cope with anything that happens in this country. It's an extraordinary scene. It's an extraordinary song. My winner, without a doubt, is "It Don't Worry Me" from Nashville. Runner-up, Honeymoon Hotel from Footlight Parade.
All right, because I don't remember the songs. I'm just gonna say Keith Carradine's from Nashville is my winner, and yeah, that's it. Kyle?
Tom, you got Honeymoon Hotel?
No, but I mean, yeah, and I did until you reminded me. But so Keith Carradine's song in Nashville is mine.
He has 2 songs,
I'll pick the other. Yeah, I'll pick that one. I'm picking that
easy.
one. I'm easy. No, I'm picking that one. I'm easy for the countless women I imagine it has been dedicated to since its inception, and for its connection to Jim Croce, even though there isn't one, because people think that he wrote it, even though he died 2 years beforehand. So, fun fact. Anywho,
Mike gets extra points for singing his song before we roll into best original score.
If we get bonus points for that, I hope that holds through next season. I do want Tom to sing his picks.
I mean, all of the points are kind of like an episode of Whose
Yeah.
Line Is It Anyway? I'm making them up. They don't matter.
No, I just want
but
Tom to have to sing like James Cagney. Just, I'm a Yankee Doodle dandy, a Yankee Doodle do or die.
Weirdly, I can't picture it.
Tom,
Best original score.
yeah. We'll get you out to karaoke with Tom at some point. It's an experience.
Yeah, I do karaoke every week, so
Ooh.
people. See
Best original score. Okay, so this is dumb because this happens to us every year. Every single year we've done this podcast, there is a movie with an iconic score.
Yeah.
And there's just not a conversation. So, like, year 1, it was Star Wars. Year 2, it was The Godfather. Year 3, it was Lawrence of Arabia. So, year 4, it's Psycho.
Yeah.
That's the answer.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of runner-up. My runner-up is Bonnie and Clyde. I like me some Banjo. But the answer is Psycho. Like, that's just the winner with a bullet.
It's Psycho. Like, we're just, breaking format or whatever. Like, yeah, this is just, it's straight up just like, it's Psycho.
What's your runner-up, Tom?
My runner-up is George Bassman's work on Ride the High Country. I love that old school Western feel to it with, again, that, more of a melancholic feel that Peckinpah is starting to bring into it. The death of the Western, the times are changing. I always reference that this movie really, my Letterboxd review the first time I watched it was just No Country for Old Men, and that really is what this movie could have been called instead of Ride the High Country. So I just love the feel and the sound and just that old school feel. But again, like the slowly shifting into a new gear that the Western's about to go into. So yeah. Sorry, but you're not Psycho.
I'm gonna have a hard talk here. I did not pick Psycho. And I picked what I picked for a really tough reason. Because
Tom has left.
I know.
I just want to give us a sec so I can edit Tom pacing around his room.
Yeah. Let's give him a second. I did not pick Psycho. Oh, he can hear me. I forgot. He's just away. He can hear me the entire time. He's coming back now.
We may stay on Tom's shot just to see if he punches a wall.
He's going. Yeah, he's going to. Yeah, he's going to because
I've
folks
got too much money invested on these walls.
We gotta have that talk because part of the hard work of doing this film history stuff is looking at the good and the evil of it, and the stuff that is kind of difficult to really contextualize in a way. And so I did pick The Birth of a Nation for Best Original Score. And I did pick it not necessarily because I think it is number one per se, but because if it is not as impactful in that moment. Tom, give me a second. It cannot be said that without that score as a silent film, that the film probably objectively, one, is not as memorable in its time, and two, does not be remembered as the blueprint for what will eventually be the Hollywood blockbuster. And so in the same way that it has been inducted in the registry, so that we don't forget, I am recognizing the fact that because it was as impactful as it was, damningly so, it did cement its legacy and Hollywood's legacy forever because of it. And so I do begrudgingly give it to The Birth of a Nation, but I don't inherently, personally, believe it is my favorite film that should get original score.
So when you're saying original score, you're talking about like the score that Joseph Brel wrote, like like physically wrote down and sent to theaters, right?
Correct.
I'm not trying to come down. I just wanted to clarify that because I'm sure there were a lot of people listening who were like, who might just be surprised at the idea of picking a score for a silent film.
Yes.
So
yes.
I appreciate everything you said on that. I just want to make sure the listener has that information, that there was a unlike a lot of silent films that we talk about on the show that don't have a set score, that one did have a written score. I just wanted to make sure they had it because I don't think we talked about that on the episode itself.
No, absolutely. No, and thank you for that context. Yeah.
No, I just didn't want somebody like sitting going, it's silent, man. No, because there have been other scores since, but you're talking about the Carl Braille score. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
I knew that something was coming when I saw Kyle start to like nervously smile as you guys were both giving your like in unison answers. But that was so much more in so many different ways than I could have anticipated. Kyle, I'm sending you some cookies because I'm a little entertained. Next up is best costume design.
Okay, so my runner-up for best costume design is Morocco because of the tuxedo and the hat. Just one of the most iconic costumes in film history. You got to give it up for that. The other costumes are wonderful too, but that tuxedo hat combo on Marlene Dietrich is incredible. So, got to give it that. But my winner for best costume is a movie that I'm going to be honest. When I wrote this down, I was like, this might be the only time this gets love tonight. Because, it's not one of the more famous films we covered, but I was wrong because Tom has actually been recognizing this film quite a bit. So now it's time for me to give it a little bit of love. My number one, my pick for best costume design is Letter from an Unknown Woman. That is a movie that uses its costumes to tell its story. That uses its costumes to depict class, to depict emotion. It's a beautifully crafted film in every detail. And, when we get into these kind of art type categories, we kind of have to spread the wealth a bit in some cases because, you could pick Letter from an Unknown Woman for, as Tom did, like cinematography, or you could pick for art direction, you could pick it for a number of things. But for me, I was like, well, I'm going to single in on the costumes here because they really just do a lot of work in that movie. So my runner-up is Morocco, but my winner for costume design is Letter from an Unknown Woman.
Yeah, can't really disagree with much of that, but shockingly, I have two of my own answers. My runner-up is going to be Carmen Jones. Just visuals feast, and the costumes are a part of that. The colors that pop, and just selling the setting and the sort of frantic mania that ends up filling Harry Belafonte. Making Dorothy Dandridge as appealing as she is. Just all of that, when you get into the world of the boxing and all of that, and just I just thought it's a great looking movie, and the costumes. I feel like that's always kind of something that has to be a part of any musical. You need kind of good costumes if you want to be a good musical. So probably not going to be the case in Joker 2. But my runner-up is, and I feel like this might just be the like running through the rest of these, because of the look of it, is just gonna make me like to say everything is the winner. It's Night of the Hunter. It looks great, and I mean, the tuxedo in Morocco is great, but like the second fucking Mitchum shows up as that fucking preacher with that hat on, and it's just such a great outfit because you just if you just glimpse at him, like, okay, that's he's dressed up as a preacher. But the more you pay attention to it, the more you realize how like ratty it is, and kind of like what the movie's saying, kind of perfectly, is that yeah, on the outs, like at first glance, this guy might be, a spiritual leader and a quote unquote good guy. But the more you really pay attention to him, which, Lillian Gish does, the more you really look at this guy and really pay attention to how he's acting and behaving and how his clothes are kind of like falling apart around him. Um, Not a good guy, and I think it just extends to everything and adds to the storybook nightmarish quality of this movie. So yeah, Karma Jones is my runner-up. Night of the Hunter is my winner.
I went with Ride the High Country because I like cowboys.
I mean, that's a good answer.
Honestly, at this
Good
point, we're
job.
just grateful you didn't say Birth of a Nation for that one.
Yep. Nope. I figured y'all would need a palate cleanser after that, so I just kind of kept that one short and sweet. So
I'm
I
just
like
surprised-
cowboys, yeehaw. Pretty
I'm just
pretty
surprised you didn't
straightforward.
say what's opera doc.
My Kyle says what's opera doc, and then just looks dead serious in the camera and go, because I mean, when Bug
Come
Bunny's
on.
got that helmet,
Come on.
Look at
Boom Hilda.
you know. Hey Wayne, do you ever
Okay,
think Bug
all right,
Bunny's hot
next.
when he's dressed as a woman?
Okay, we are going off of the rails, but that's okay because we are rounding it out now with best art direction.
So
Kyle's dancing and I'm nervous.
my runner-up for best art direction is Carmen Jones, because as Tom said, beautiful movie, great to look at. But my winner, last time Tom said Carmen Jones is the runner-up, but his winner was Night of the Hunter, that dark, moody movie with all the shadows. My runner-up for art direction is Carmen Jones. Again, beautiful movie, incredible art direction. My winner is also a dark, moody movie full of shadows and tight and closed spaces, but it's not Night of the Hunter. My pick for best art direction is maybe the first exquisitely art-directed movie by a man whose filmography is defined by exquisitely art-directed movies, which is, of course, Paths of Glory. You really don't appreciate. We talked about it on the episode how it's like not the most talked about Kubrick film because it doesn't have the most overt Kubrick touches. But when you rewatch that movie, just how visually distinct that is, right? Everything from the set dressing to the location choices are just so striking. The moment when Kirk Douglas is in his office telling the guy, like, well, you're not going to have a problem shooting him, right? Just everything about that scene is so profound. It just looks remarkable. The art direction is everything on that movie. So my runner-up is Carmen Jones, but my winner is Paths of Glory.
So my runner-up is Letter from an Unknown Woman. I want to give that love. I really do love the look of that movie. Really helped sell the entire story. Just gorgeous stuff. Give me a 4K Blu-ray immediately. That's just a demand. Or else. But my winner is Night of the Hunter. It's just like, I mean, come on, like, just look at it. Just look at it. It's so beautiful, but it's so dark. It's so fucked up, but it's so beautiful. I love it, but I hate it. It's so good. I love it, but it's dark. It's like an Italian looking at a woman. Oh, she's so beautiful, but she makes me feel bad things.
It was always going to go there. Kyle?
I love it to women, but I hated the women.
Mamma mia. I went with Dog Star Man because you alluded to it similarly. There's only that man that could make that type of film in that kind of way. And when you pitched it to me at the very beginning, this was, I believe, the movie at last finale that you said, "Oh, you're gonna be psyched for this. You're gonna want to watch this one. Like, we're gonna seek it out." And I did. I was hyped. I was not prepared for what I was to watch. What I am grateful now in hindsight is that we did not watch the full version, which is like a good 285 minutes, or maybe we did, and it just felt like
that's an expanded thing. That's not Dog Star Man. Dog Star Man is part of a larger thing that's 280 minutes. Don't worry.
Correct. It's only the first part of an expanded Dog Star Man cinematic universe, which we'll inevitably dissect here. But nobody could do whatever it is that was, and the amount of investment that a single man could put into essentially his life's work in a way. Gotta give it credit. Constantly tinkering and constantly evolving it. So, brackets for Dog Star Man.
Okay, our final awards category is Best Visual Effects.
This was a motherfucker. Because in like season 1, we had Star Wars. In season 3, we had King Kong. In season 2, we were like, oh, I don't know if we have anything effects heavy. We're going to have to wing this. And then we look at season 4. So, if we're talking visual effects, my runner-up is Castro Street. Some visual effects in that, arguably a lot of them, you know. Negative photography, odd filters, things like that, you know. But if we're talking visual effects, there's only one way to go with this. Only one man bold enough to paint on film and stomp on it and everything. I gots to give my best visual effects to my boy, Stanny Brackage, for my beloved Dog Star Man.
Dog Star Man.
I will correct Kyle a little bit here. On the finale last season, which I just listened to again, I did not tell him, oh, you're really going to like that one. I was reading off the films, and for the what are you most excited for next season, Kyle went, you know what? It's Dog Star Man, because, you know, I'm reading the description of it. Sounds interesting, and, you know, I like dogs. I like stars. Seems like it could work. And that's why I invited him to a totally in silence screening at a cinema, and he was not fully prepared for what that was. But my visual effects winner, runner-up Castro Street, winner, Dog Star Man. Tom?
Okay, so like Mike said, this one was a motherfucker. So I'm kind of just gonna break format for this one and just like I picked 5. My winner, because when you talk, because visual effects can mean so many different things. You know, the visual effects, like you said, at Castro Street are not the same that is a Dog Star Man. Some similar, fucking with the film and everything, but different. My winner for visual effects is Night of the Hunter, because so much of the visual look of that movie is fucking with the, you know, just that German expressionistic thing and all just in camera work that's not really done later. It's kind of like all stuff you could see on the set, and that must have been really trippy to like walk around that movie and be like, wow, what the fuck is this gonna look like? But I had 4 runners up just to kind of like the breadth of what visual effects could be. Bonnie and Clyde for that ending of them getting shot to shit, you know, squib work before Peckinpah really, you know, juiced it up. You don't get the impact of the ending. You don't get that without their squibs. You got the gold rush. Charlie Chaplin's always doing crazy visual effects, but with the cabin leaning over the cliff, and you see like the little puppet Chaplin just like hanging off the thing. I'm like, that's cool, that's cute. Obviously, got to give props to Dog Star Man for its ability to push film forward and be like, hey, you can actually like fuck with the film itself to get an effect that will feel different than like, you know, a quote unquote special effect. You know, you can make a movie feel nightmarish by fucking with the film. And what's the most visual effects heavy thing than an animated film? And What's Opera Doc is, you know, it's Looney Tunes. It's a great, you know, it's just great animation. So, you know, those I think are the 5 heavy hitters of visual effects this year. But because I'm just running the table with Night of the Hunter, Night of the Hunter's my winner. But you can't go wrong with any of those 5 as your top winner for visual effects. Kyle, tell me which one you didn't pick of my 5.
I appreciate your enthusiasm. Which one I didn't pick? None of them. I picked all of them. Of course I picked What's Opera Doc for the exact fucking reason that you just fucking said. The entire movie's a visual effect. It is the animation. It is probably that turning point when people went, cartoons at that time too. Just cartoons.
I really liked the.
Oh, he's done talking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he just stopped.
Yeah, Kyle stopped very abruptly. Sometimes
is he having a stroke?
What just happened?
Is he okay?
No.
Well, we're not okay.
The answer is no.
As My Chemical Romance said, I'm not okay. I promise I'm not okay.
Okay, so now what's going to happen is before we talk about what's ahead in Season 5, to close out Season 4, we are going to talk about what we submitted to the National Film Registry this year. Now, to clarify, what we do is every individual is allowed to submit 50 films. So what we do is I, on behalf of the show, submitted the 25 films I picked and the 25 films Tom picked this season. And then Tom, Amanda, and Kyle each submitted our picks from previous seasons, obviously not including those that got into the registry, right? So a couple of films that I nominated got into the registry, and this is the first time we get to say this, of course. Last season, one of Tom's picks got in the registry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Madawan, baby. And in
Yeah,
addition,
baby.
Kyle made his submissions, and Amanda got to make submissions. Amanda got to make submissions for the first time this year.
That's a
Now,
hard word.
what that
Yeah.
means,
I was admitting, I was submitting, I was sitting on my couch entering it on the website.
what happened is Kyle and Amanda have both been on episodes this season and got to make a registry pick in the same format that we do, which is like, okay, something related to the film we're discussing that day. But in addition to that, for being part of the team, Kyle and Amanda each also get what we call a wild card pick, which is no restrictions other than the film registry's restrictions, 10 years, whatever. But other than that, like no restrictions, and we don't know what those are. Now, like I said, the 75 other films that I picked and the 75 other films that Tom picked in the last 3 seasons were also submitted, but we're not going to read those here because we made Kyle read all of our past submissions last season, and he got annoyed. So we're not doing that now because, again, that would be 150 titles to have to read in one sitting. We will go through all of those past titles when the registry submission or the registry selections are about to be made. We did a live stream of that last year, which was very fun. We'll do it again this year. So subscribe to our YouTube channel for that closer to when the registry picks come out. But for right now, I am going to read my 25 that were submitted to the registry this season. Tom is going to read his 25, and then we get to hear Kyle's submissions, and we get to hear Amanda's, and we get to find out what their wild cards were. So, this season, I submitted to the National Film Registry 9 to 5. Something's Gotta Give, Shoulder Arms, Symbol of the Unconquered, John Wick, Rudy Toot Toot, The Girl Can't Help It, The Frozen North, Heaven Can Wait, The Grateful Dead Movie, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Monroe, Scream, In the Year of the Pig, Duck Dodgers in the 24th and a Half Century, The Wedding Singer, Reds, Heathers, A Pair of Tights, Nation Time, All My Life, Window Water Baby Moving, Chasing Amy, Friendly Persuasion, and Lone Star.
Oh God, I'm tired. All right, my picks are Gone Girl, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Southern Comfort, The Passion of the Christ, Blue Ruin, Jackie Brown, Road to Perdition, The Jerk, All the Real Girls, Pain and Gain, Frailty, A Few Good Men, Reanimator, Glengarry Glen Ross, The Spirit of Christmas, Pineapple Express, White Line Fever, hell yeah, Natural Born Killers, Step Brothers, David Cronenberg's The Fly, City of Hope, Inland Empire, Gone Baby Gone, Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, and Inside Man.
My past submissions included Spider-Man, Me at the Zoo, American Psycho, Superbad, 8 Mile, and Her. Do you want me to say my wild card right now, too?
Say what you submitted for Salt of the Earth, and then give us your wild card. Oh, and don't forget Head on behalf of Dr. Snyder. We always toss that one in there.
I did. Yes, thank you, Dr. Snyder. You're right.
But so what did you pick for Salt of the Earth? And then reveal your wild card.
This season for Salt of the Earth, I picked the Hollywood 10 documentary about the Hollywood 10. Go check it out. It's on YouTube. But for my wild card this year, I picked something that I saw for the first time this year, actually at the Tribeca Film Festival. It is there was a special screening of it. I had a lot of friends that had been recommending me to go see it. In fact, the main actor was there in a Q&A, and so I got to even appreciate that film more. It is a film that has been recognized in the recording registry, but has not been inducted in the National Film Registry. My season 4 wild card pick is Footloose.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Kevin Bacon in June, and fun fact, he almost did not play that role because the casting director for Footloose thought he wasn't, quote, fuckable enough. Straight out his mouth. So, yeah, that movie could have been very different.
Cool.
All that to Kira Sedgwick. Anyway. So my pick from Carmen Jones was 10 Things I Hate About You. I went with a modern retelling of a classic. And then my wild card pick, and I was very nervous because this is my first time doing this, and you all are people who watch all 25 films for the season, and I am not. I went with 2012's Safety Not Guaranteed, which I recently rewatched again for maybe the first time since in maybe a decade, and it resonated with me quite differently, and that was why I decided to submit that one.
They're turning it into a musical if they haven't already.
I don't know how I feel about that.
We'll offline it.
So those are our submissions, and we will all find out together, most likely, if Kyle remembers to take the day off this year. We will all find out together what got into the registry.
Already have. Don't worry.
Okay.
We fired our CEO. Everything is fine. It's all good.
Well, we don't know.
can
We
cut
don't
it.
know the exact date that the registry's statement, the registry picks are coming out. I'll try and
Correct.
contact them again and find out. But once we find out the date, we can all take the day off, get on camera, and we'll all react together. That will be fun this year because I think this year both Kyle and Amanda will know what got in, and they get to watch me and Tom suffer. So that's fun. But we'll see what got in. We'll see if any of these get in. If none of these do, I think we're going to feel embarrassed because we've gotten at least one in every other year, and it would feel shitty if it was none this year, right? That would feel pointed at this point, right? And we'll also see what at least one movie they put in that both Tom and I go, really? Really? That's the choice? Because do you remember what that was last year, Tom?
No.
We closed out with 20 Feet from Stardom.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Remember that?
Right.
Remember that?
Boo. Oh.
So what's going to happen now is I am going to talk a little bit about what's coming up in Season 5. I'm going to read off the titles to you guys, give us a quick little description of them as I can, and then we're all going to go around the table. It's actually Amanda's turn to answer some questions with us as we talk about what of these movies is the one you're most excited to talk about that you've seen, and which one you're most excited to check out for the first time because of this show, which I think are the two questions we ask at the end. I actually closed out my document. Did I get that right? That's what we normally talk about, right?
Yes, nope, you're right. 100%.
Just making sure. Just making sure. So next season in the big old Season 5, we've got a number of things we'll be talking about. We'll be talking about An American in Paris, which is Gene Kelly, another Gene Kelly musical. This one is much more dance-heavy. It also co-stars Leslie Caron, who is one of Tom's award winners for Gigi last season. We are doing my favorite Terrence Malick movie, Badlands, which if you've never seen Badlands and you don't have the time to watch the whole movie, just listen to Bruce Springsteen's Nebraska. It's pretty much the same. We are doing The Black Pirate, which is super exciting. Douglas Fairbanks, I'm really excited to talk about that one. One of the earliest action films, an early swashbuckler, and also Kyle and I get to say we saw the sword he used in that movie, and that's
You're damn right he did.
Really excited to do The Black Pirate. Really excited for that one. We are talking about Blade Runner, which means we all have to have a really long conversation about which cut of Blade Runner we're talking about on this episode. It's going to be a lot of discussion. We're going to have to figure it out. We are talking about Cat People. That's right, guys. Not only Universal made horror films, other studios did too. We're going to talk Val Lewton. We're going to talk Jacques Tournier. We're getting into Cat People. We're going to talk about The Cheat. So we get to talk about Sisu Hayakawa. We actually already have our guest figured out for that one. We know what that's going to be. It's going to be a heavy one to some degree. Wasn't always the best for him, but his career worked out great. But it was the silent era, and he wasn't white. So not the easiest career for Sisu Hayakawa, but an incredible movie star. I'm excited to talk about that one. We are going to be talking about Chulas Fronteras. We're going to be doing a Les Blank documentary. A Les Blank documentary about Tex-Mex music. It's really cool. It is nowhere streamable. I had to buy a Blu-ray, so we're going to have to figure out how the hell we even watch this thing. We're talking about Kenneth Anger's Ode to Artifice. Kenneth Anger finally coming up on the show. We obviously talked about Kenneth Anger when Scorpio Rising got into the Registry, but this is the first Kenneth Anger film to get in, so still getting some experimental film in. We are talking about The Godfather Part 2. I don't need to say anything more about that. We're talking about His Girl Friday, one of the great romantic comedies. Really excited to do that one. Speaking of great romantic comedies, we also get to do It Happened One Night, maybe the quintessential romantic comedy of the first half of the 20th century, and also the first of only 3 movies to win all 5 major Oscars, which is an incredible feat, only repeated twice more. As Tom alluded to, we get to talk about Lassie Come Home. So that's going to be a damn hoot.
Why did they hate the Dutch?
We're talking about Lassie Come Home, which is really cool. We get to do the Magical Maestro. So we're getting a Tex Avery short. So, Tom likes his Looney Tunes. This is not Looney Tunes. This is MGM. But we get to do a Tex Avery short. And I promise there's nothing offensive about... I can't make that promise. But you guys are going to have to wait and find out what's offensive about that cartoon. We're going to be talking about an episode
of... March of Time!
Yes! The March of Time, which was actually a motion picture serial. There are like 500 episodes of The March of Time. But the one they selected is Inside Nazi Germany, which is going to be rough. Anyway, we're going to talk about A Night at the Opera, the Marx Brothers comedy, which is going to be a lot of fun. Probably their second best comedy after Duck Soup. We're talking about Nothing But a Man, a movie that is esteemed but rarely seen, especially for a long time, but recently got a Criterion release, so people are finally starting to see it. I just watched that one recently and texted Tom saying, you're going to have a great time with this one, so I'm really excited to do that. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, one of the other 2 movies to win all 5 major Oscars. I didn't even think about the fact that they're both in that year, but One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, very excited to discuss that one. Point of Order, a sort of semi-experimental documentary about Joseph McCarthy. So yes, we're talking Red Scare again next season, except this one is an archival footage film. It is made entirely 90 minutes long of just footage edited together from the McCarthy hearings. And I know that may sound dull, but the way this guy edits it is extraordinary. It's a really, really impressive piece of work. We are talking Shadows. That's right. We're talking John Cassavetes again. Yeah, we're doing another Cassavetes, so congratulations, Tom, and I will be fine. We are talking Shane, one of the great Westerns. I cannot wait to talk about Shane. Obviously, most people today, if you even haven't seen Shane, you've seen parts of Shane in Logan, so get ready for us to talk about the full film. Really great. We are talking about The Sweet Smell of Success, one of the most scathing indictments of the media and gossip columnists. An absolutely great noir masterpiece, one that Tom and I both saw in college for the first time and went, holy shit. So I'm very excited for Sweet Smell of Success. We are talking about Touch of Evil. We've got Touch of Evil coming up next season, and as I texted Tom, neither of us has talked to this man since we last recorded with him. We have no idea what he might pick, but also, we're just going to call it now. Really looking forward to David Bloodband joining us for that one. The energy is there. We love David. We love having him on, and also you just look at that and go, yeah, I mean, obviously, come on. We are talking about Where Are My Children, a movie that I'm telling you guys, you are not ready for, in terms of it is a silent film that is tackling abortion and also eugenics and also birth control, and you watch it and just go, holy shit, this happened. Like, how did this movie exist when it did? It's going to be a heavy thing to talk about, but it's going to be an extraordinarily impressive film. Really excited to get into that one. The Wind, an experimental Western from Victor Solstrom, kind of impressionistic. Tom, have you seen... I'm assuming you haven't seen The Wind, but are you familiar with The Wind at all?
No, I have not seen The Wind, but I have seen The Rain.
Get ready to be real on board with The Wind. And, of course, we are also talking about Yankee Doodle Dandy. We get James Cagney, again, this time in his Oscar-winning performance. I just rewatched Yankee Doodle Dandy recently, and it's an absolute hoot, the George M. Cohan biopic. I really can't wait to get into that one. So those are the 25 films we will be talking about next season. So going around, I say we just kind of go alphabetical order. Amanda, Kyle, Tom. Of the films you've seen out
I'm
of
so
that
fuck
batch,
myself.
which one are you most excited for us to cover of the ones you've seen of that list?
Well, first of all, I want to say that I've seen the rain comment deserved a lot more chuckles from the group than it got. Thank you, Tom. You burn more calories every time you laugh, and I'm staying thin. But I am probably most excited to rewatch His Girl Friday. I haven't watched it since I was very young, and I think I watched it with the lens of I wanted to be impressive and watch a bunch of Cary Grant movies and be able to reference them. And now, as an adult, to be able to go back and actually watch it with a critical eye and not just longing for something that I didn't fully understand. Really excited about that one.
I would say from the ones that I've seen, I'm gonna say obviously The Godfather Part 2 and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, because those two they're just iconic. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is one of my favorite films. I think we even covered the book in high school. I do also want to shout out Blade Runner, I guess, not necessarily because I'm the biggest Blade Runner fan, but because we have this show, I can really look and try to understand the love around that movie more, because it is a film that has not connected with me in the way that so many of its fans has. And so I'm kind of excited to hopefully have a better understanding of that next season. In terms of films I haven't seen...
Oh, we'll get to that next.
Oh, that's right.
The next question.
That's right.
Motherfucker!
Yeah, sorry.
Kyle.
Tom, of the ones...
Well, it's Mike. It's Mike, technically,
okay.
if we're talking alphabetical order.
Yeah, you picked the rules, and now you're trying to break. What the fuck is going on here?
Okay,
I gotta be the rule follower for once. What the fuck is this?
Of the ones I'm most excited to revisit, the answer honestly is probably The Black Pirate, the Douglas Fairbanks film. I'm a big Fairbanks fan in general, and there is just something impressive. We talk about it a lot on this show, but Tom likes to bring up the idea of when the movies stop being historical and start being just fun to watch. And obviously, we address The Great Train Robbery is an action film that's fun to watch, that's older than The Black Pirate, but The Black Pirate is just a really impressive work, and it's so much goddamn fun. So I'm really excited to do Black Pirate on the show. Tom?
All right. So since everyone else is breaking rules, I'm going to break rules right now, too. I got 3. I'm going with Badlands because the Malik of it all, the weird sort of relationship I think me and you both have with the guy, and haven't seen it in a while. And while I wouldn't say it was my favorite of his, I think that's The New World. I do want to rewatch that. I'm always down to rewatch Touch of Evil, and like you said, that's going to be an episode where it's just me and Bluffband just broing out and just being like, "Yeah, man, Orson, he's just being a fatty, just being a fat prick." The complete opposite of Charles Lawton in Witness for the Prosecution, where he's a fat prick and he wants justice. This time, this fat prick, he wants injustice. And then Sweet Smell of Success, because it's been a while, but I just know every time I have put it on, and it's just great. It's got a great Criterion disc, and I read about it recently in that book, Fun City Cinema, really just making me remember it's a great early, really early shot on location New York film. So I love seeing old New York in movies, and can't go wrong with Burt Lancaster. It's an cookie full of arsenic.
So now to close that final question of the night before we plug things and beg people to stay subscribed throughout the slow season. Amanda, of all of the films that you haven't seen that we're covering next season, what one are you most excited to check out?
This one's a hard one because I haven't seen a lot of them. I think it is just from what we've discussed, because we already have kind of a plan for it. I'm excited might be the wrong word. I'm excited to talk about The Cheat next season. And then because I'm having trouble picking, I'm just going to take a page from Kyle's book and say, Lassie, come home, because I like dogs and I like being home.
Kyle, what about you? What of the films that you haven't seen for next season, what are you most excited to check out?
An American in Paris, definitely, because it's the more dance centric one. I think I'm a little pretty excited to cover that musical. Just Your Brief. I'm going through another Dog Star Man moment here because I looked at Cat People and went, surely, documentary. And then you went, yes, other people made horror films too. And I'm like, all right, hang on. You're fucking with me here. Are they in cat suits? This I gotta see.
I guess I will go, and here's the thing. Here's the part where I have to, we have a problem in Tom and I's friendship that we've had ever since college, which is Tom will just make me think he's seen things that he's never seen. And it's never been the opposite until now. Because now on camera, I will confess, I've seen almost everything next season. I haven't seen Lassie Come Home at all.
That's a shock.
No, Tom, here's the real shock. I have never actually sat and watched Touch of Evil from start to finish.
Okay.
I have never... We've talked about that so many times, but I have never actually, I have seen the beginning, the middle, and the end in various, television airings in my youth, but I have never actually, sat and watched Touch of Evil start to finish. So Lassie Come Home and Touch of Evil are the two that I haven't seen yet, so I'm looking forward to that quite a bit. What about you? Films you haven't
so
seen?
For me, I got three just quickly. An American in Paris, because Gene Kelly's a real dude and I like that guy, and Vincente Minnelli is I've liked a bunch of his stuff. Only one I haven't, which was a very funny, contentious episode in the original format of the show. I've been meaning to watch this for years, and now that I'm in a Western mood, I'm definitely going to probably watch it this week. I got to see Shane. Especially after seeing Logan, I was like, fuck, I gotta see Shane, and then I just still haven't seen Shane because I'm a big dumb idiot. But I really want to see Chulas Fronteras. Not gonna I just, that sounds cool. That music's I love that shit, man. It's just, let's get into that. I want to watch that, and I want to listen to that music, and I want to be cool and just vibe out for 58 minutes.
Well, that is it. That is the end of season 4. Again, 100 movies down and thousands more to go. So, gonna be a party, gang. But we are so glad to do this. This was also very cool. Obviously, because of scheduling issues, not everybody could be on mic at the same time this season, but we're really looking forward to next season. Having everybody on, having everybody involved. Amanda, we're so glad that you have been here with us for this and that have been a part of this team. We hope it wasn't too irksome to do that, but we really look forward to doing this again. Everybody, thank you guys so much for listening, or in some cases, thank you so much for watching. This was also our first year doing video episodes on YouTube. This was our first year doing live streams. So if you've been enjoying that, we really appreciate it. We've had a lot of success finding new people that way. We hope you will stay subscribed. The next time you will hear us on the audio feed for a podcast will be us reacting to the National Film Registry inductees. It'll probably be sometime in December. And then we'll be back again talking about whatever is nominated for the Oscars this coming year. So look forward to Tom's take on Joker Folie à Deux then. Get ready for us to be saying night bitch in every category, I guess. And get ready for, I'm just going to call it, I normally don't like to predict based on festival descriptions because like Tom said, they're hyperbolic, but I'm just calling my shot now. Get ready for me to be real on board with The Brutalist. That just sounds like that's aimed right at me. So get ready for me to be real on board.
You're either going to be really on board or really angry at that movie.
Yep. So that'll be that. But if you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, that's not going to be the last time you hear from us. You are going to be hearing quite a bit because Tom will be doing his monthly live streams on franchises or directors or whatever he feels like doing.
Monthly.
He's supposed to be monthly. He's also doing something really special. He's going to be going in the field covering Fantastic Fest in Austin, Texas for us.
Getting into the shit.
He's done it every year for us in the past in audio format, but this year it's going to be video. This year it's going to be live streamed. This year you are going to get Tom's takes on the movies he sees at Fantastic Fest when they happen. You are not going to have to wait weeks to hear what he thinks of the secret screening The People's Joker 2, Even More People. You're not going to have to
Don't
wait.
make me mad.
You're not going to have to wait that long. And, you know, it does mean we'll lose a little bit of magic because, as I was telling some family members who were up visiting, the best part of Tom's Fantastic Fest episodes are always days 1, 2, and 3. He's got some energy. Day 4, he's hungover as hell. And day 5 and 6, he records when he gets home and tries to pretend that he's still in Austin and thinks I won't know, even though I hear people doing dishes behind him. And we won't have that this year, which is sad. But we will have, we will have some live reactions. I'll put up some content. We'll put up some shorts. We'll play around with some stuff. Maybe we'll do some Comic-Con coverage. I don't know. We'll get crazy with it. So what I'm saying is subscribe to the YouTube channel if you aren't already, if you want some content to keep you going. We are really excited to come back next season. We are so thankful for all of you guys. Please rate, review, subscribe, and please tell folks about the show. If you enjoyed an episode this season, post about it, tell some people about it. We'd really appreciate it. But I think it's safe to say on behalf of everyone here, thank you for 100 movies. Thank you for more than 100 episodes. And we look forward to doing more of this for you guys. So thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
See you fucks later.
You're Missing Out is a production of Neon Night Media. It's hosted by Mike Natali and Tom Lorenzo. The show is produced by Kyle Lampar and edited by Mike Natali and Kyle Lampar. More information about our hosts and guests are in the show notes. Thank you to Amanda Rush for our social media, and all of you for checking us out.
If you're listening right now or want to take the show on the go, every episode is available as an audio podcast. Follow You're Missing Out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you like what you hear, please leave a review and a rating. It helps folks find the show.
Want to watch the show or watch some of the films along with us? Great, that's why we're doing this. Don't leave us alone out here. Check out our YouTube channel. We've got video versions of every episode, uploads of some of the National Film Registry titles we're discussing, commentary tracks, and live streams. And once a month, I'll be uploading some content that's exclusive to the YouTube channel. So be sure to click subscribe and hit that little bell to be notified as soon as new stuff goes up. Because, let's be fucking real, I ain't sticking to a goddamn schedule.
So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
And we'll see you next time.
And you'll see us next time. Because we don't watch you, you're watching us.